I didn't stop speaking because I wasn't allowed to. I stopped because it felt easier to keep things calm than to bring all of myself into the room. Hey, friends, I'm Sandy Bartlett, and this is Journey to Self Power Beyond People Pleasing. This podcast is a space for women who are tired of managing themselves in order to stay connected. Today's episode is the first in a series called Loving Without Shrinking. And this conversation is for you if you've ever felt safe in a relationship, but still found yourself holding parts of you back. The series is taking place both in my YouTube channel and here in the podcast partner episodes. But before we go deeper, I pulled a card for this conversation from the Work Your Light Oracle deck. And the card that came through is Unbound. And here's what landed for me when I saw it. Unbound speaks to releasing soul patterns and contracts, agreements we made long ago about who we need to be in order to stay safe, loved, or accepted. For this episode, what showed up is this. The silence you keep in your relationship isn't new. It's an old agreement you made somewhere along the way, maybe in childhood, maybe in a past relationship, maybe even before that, that said, my full self is too much, so I'll bring the version that keeps things smooth. That agreement is still running, even in relationships that feel safe. This card showed up to remind us you can release agreements you never consciously made. We're not here to force anything. We're here to notice what's been binding you and to remember that you get to choose what you carry forward. I want to start with something personal. There was a long stretch of my life where nothing was wrong in my relationship. No yelling, no instability, no walking on eggshells. And yet, I noticed something uncomfortable. I had started deciding quietly which parts of me were worth bringing into the room and which parts would just make things harder. Not because I was told to, because I didn't want to deal with the ripple. So I filtered. I softened. I redirected my own thoughts before they ever became words. At the time, I called this maturity. Looking back, I can see it was self-management. I remember one specific moment. I had just returned from a retreat weekend. I was energized. I was lit up from the inside. And when I got home, I could feel myself dimming. Not because he said anything, not because he did anything, but because I knew he didn't get it. And I had decided, without him ever asking, that it was just easier to not bring it up. So I didn't. I brought the version of me that he understood, and I left the rest of myself in the car. As you're listening, just notice this for yourself. Is there something you regularly think but don't say because it feels easier to keep the peace? No judgment, just notice. This kind of silence doesn't come from fear of the other person. It comes from an old belief that harmony is fragile and that you're responsible for keeping it intact. So when differences show up, beliefs, perspective, ways of seeing the world, you default to holding it in. You tell yourself, they don't need to understand it. I can process it on my own. It's not worth disrupting things. And over time, that choice becomes automatic. Wilhelm Reich said, Whatever is not expressed is impressed upon the body. I first heard this years ago and it stopped me cold because I had spent so much time managing my words, moderating my reactions, keeping myself even and steady, that I forgot my body was keeping score. The tension in my jaw, the knot in my stomach, the exhaustion that had no clear source. That was everything I wasn't saying. And for many women, this is where silence shows up, not in the relationship, but in their body. If you check in with your body right now, where do you feel this kind of holding? Your throat? Your chest? Maybe your jaw? You don't need to fix it. Just notice where your body carries what you don't say. Here's a question to sit with this week. Not to answer out loud, not to fix, just to hold. What part of you have you stopped bringing into the room because it felt easier to keep the peace? Sit with that one. And inside my community, Journey to Self, the Awakening, we name these patterns without forcing change. We notice without performing recovery. The link is in the show notes if you're ready. And if you want something quieter, I send a weekly email called Something to Sit With. No prompts, no advice, just words that leave room. That link is also in the show notes. Here's what I want you to do this week. Don't say more. Don't explain better. Don't correct yourself. Just notice the moment that you almost speak and decide not to. That pause holds a lot of information. In the next few episodes, we're going to look at how this silence becomes a pattern, what it costs you over time, and what shifts when you stop editing yourself for connection. This isn't about confrontation. It's about presence. You don't need to disappear to be loved. And you don't need agreement to trust yourself. Until next time, be true to you.